Alrighty, welcome everybody to an impromptu live stream. Today Roy is doing some engraving, and we figured we would just do a little live stream so you guys could follow along. If anybody's watching this, just drop us a comment, that way I can make sure I actually made this as a public video, which I believe I did because it's showing 2 people and a like, so means somebody's out there.
Somebody's out there. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Granddad's Forge, welcome. By the way, I just did send you an email back about our Teespring shirts. I had the wrong link posted, but if you go to our website, which is down in the description, blacksmithpdfs.com, we do have a little button there that says merchandise, and that'll take you to our storefront in Teespring.
Yep. So, can they see me right here?
Uh-huh.
Don't do too much wobbling around with it. Just keep it in one spot.
Alright.
Fine. So, can they see me?
Yes, they can see you fine.
So I'm engraving this little doodad here. This is a little symbol. It's supposed to be the symbol for the flower of life, or so I'm told. This is for a client's job that I'm working on. I've already got one half of the hammer done, and I'll show everybody that here in just a few minutes once more people get in. And I'm just now starting my first pass on the second half of the hammer. Now, we won't be able to get through all this tonight at all, so don't expect to see the finished result in this video. The other side took me a total of about 6 solid hours straight standing in one spot engraving. So so it's quite time consuming, but it is a necessity for this particular project. I've been asked quite a bit about how to, want some different videos on engraving, some chasing, stuff like that, so I'm just showing my method here this evening. So I don't know if can they even see across this cross section, or is it basically blinding
Bring it
them?
over closer.
Hold on, just okay. Want you to do that, and then just lift it like a
like a boom.
Like a boom. There you go. A little dysfunctional with the camera tonight, aren't you?
A little bit. Here, I'll zoom it in too. There.
So again, this is not our normal live stream time or anything like that. I just wanted to show what we're up to. There's a completed engraving on that side of the 30-pound hammer. And that's what we're going for over here.
Gotcha. G. Murray says, whoa, a lot of piece of hammer.
Yep, 30 pounds on the nose.
Scoot back just a little so I'm not in your arm space. Let's see who we have in here. It says we're up to 23.
Welcome, everybody.
Thomas D says, hey, Roy and Jess.
So you'll have to be pretty lively in the chat, because this is like watching mold grow. Mainly because I don't have anything real close where you guys can, I don't have any macro lens or anything like that where you guys can actually watch the engraving.
I guess I could shorten the tripod and set it up on the tabletop. Possibly.
If that'd help anything or not.
New Penny Forge says, hello, Roy, Justin, all the regulars.
Hello, hello.
Billy T, hello.
Billy T, good to have you in the house.
Frank Strock says, hi, guys. Wow, a midweek live episode.
Yep, that's right, Frank. Just for you. Actually, that's a lie. It's basically for everybody.
Let's see here. Paul Fontanini says hello.
Hello, Paul Fontanini.
Hello, Island Metal Forge.
Hello, Yamez. Good to have you in the house.
Graham, it's good to see you, buddy.
Graham, so glad to have you in the stream tonight, sir. I did get your email, by the way. I just have not had the time to sit down and respond as of yet. But I have not forgot about you. As you can see, I've been quite the busy boy.
Lots of engraving time.
So basically when you're engraving here, this is a time-consuming process. You know, there's certain engravers that you can get. There's push gravers. This is hammer and chisel kind of engraving. This is more of like an old school way of engraving. I wanted to do it the old school way first and get proficient in that. So this way, before I move on to doing like push gravers and things like that, for more detailed work and under like spectacles, microscopic type stuff where you're really looking under a lot of intense magnification, I wanted to start with this type of engraving. And I've been doing this now for about a year, off and on different projects. And I have to say I'm getting pretty good at it for what it is. No real instruction from anyone and just basically self-taught at this right now. Not too bad. Now, I could be doing a lot better if I were to practice this a whole lot, but then again, it's kind of one of those things. I only do this when it's required of me, when a job calls for it. So I'm not sitting around practicing this all day. I've got work to do, jobs to fulfill, orders to go out the door.
Pretty much you just do it on spot.
Yeah, so I do it on the spot, and so I take each time a customer gives me something like this to do, I take that as my opportunity to learn. And oh boy, can I tell you, I am learning how to take and do curves real, like by a bunch.
I don't think there's a straight line on that thing.
No, there are no straight lines in this little insignia here at all. Comments, honey?
Sure. I found a good location to set it, by the way. Let's see, manga 12. If it looks too pretty, I not want to use it. And isn't going to be used in the shop to whom it was bought.
No, this isn't going to be used in a shop, to the best of my knowledge. This is for a carnival game. It's for that little thing where you hit the little paddle that knocks the bell. You know, where guys have failed to impress their girlfriends for years, eons, millennias.
Well, here's your chance, guys. You just got to be able to lift a 30-pound sledge.
Well, that's what it's going for. So it's not for practical use in the sense of working with during the day. You won't find me throwing one anytime soon.
Dana Maggiore, good evening to you too.
Dana Maggiore, good to have you here. Like I said, if you get bored, you can take a break from the stream. Or keep the stream live and in the chat, interact amongst yourselves. I just wanted to share a little bit of this process because I know everybody and their brother, well, a good many people wanted to see some more of my intricate work. You know, a lot of times on YouTube, I don't know if they can see my face or not. It's great. It's fine. It's okay. A lot of times with my work that I do for YouTube, it's all on the beginner or basic side of things, and I don't do a whole lot of advanced techniques very often, just because I have found that there's quite a few people on the channel who are beginners and find that information technique like so this is just a, you know, shows you what's possible, really. That's what this stream's about. And this is what I do. You know, I do decorative stuff. I do things like this. I do things like 30-pound sledgehammers and smaller hammers, you know, like that. Just as a comparison, that's a 3-pound billet.
Yeah.
That's 30 pounds.
Yep, that's a huge difference.
So you can see the difference between those two. Hopefully you can see it through the through the camera there. So that's a 30-pound. That's a 3-pound billet. Well, I make 3-pound hammers. I make decorative stuff. Make hammers, I make chisels, I make touch marks, I make all sorts of different stuff. I make a lot of decorative work. I've got a fireplace screen to be making here soon. I've got some small little copper bowls for a statue that I got to make. It's like scales. I got to make a small set of scales, replica scales for a gal. With fairly intricate stuff in it. You know, there's quite a bit of things that I do in my shop that's just diverse. It's not, I'm not just a hammer maker or just a tool maker.
Or always working just at the forge.
Or always working just at the engraving or just doing chasing work. I'm oftentimes just splitting the difference between all sorts of tasks.
Kenny Brown says 10 times the difference. Island Metal Forge says, is it dressed?
Hammer faces on this one is not dressed yet. They will be dressed slightly. They'll have a 1/4 inch radius put to the chamfers on the faces. Again, this is not impacting anything. Hot steel, it's not going to be worked with anything. It's literally basically going to be working on a rubber mat.
Doug Franklin says, I want a huge hammer like that just for a wall hanger. When I learn to forge hammers, I'll make me one.
That would be your best bet.
A lot of sweat.
Start with 3 pounds first and then decide whether you ever want to make a 30-pounder. This one's been an interesting and wild ride, so.
Dana Maggiore says, what's the difference between engraving and chasing?
So engraving, you're peeling material away. Can they see my face? Okay. Engraving, you're pulling material away. So you're cutting out a chip. You can't see them, but there's a little tiny chip of material. You're removing material whenever you're engraving. You're peeling out material. Same way of like when you use gravers for inlay work. You're removing material. In chasing, when you're chasing or doing chisel work, chasing work, if you will, you are relocating material. So that material's not going away. You're chiseling into the piece, but you're not removing anything. So you're pushing material one way or the other for whatever your outcome or intended goal is. So that's the difference between chasing and engraving. Usually engraving is done on a lot finer scale than chasing work. And so it's a little bit more of a study in minutia and detail. Chasing work, you can do stuff hot in chasing. So you can do like hot chasing work where you're actually chasing material while it's hot, as where engraving you can never do that. Engraving is always done on really clean, as you can see, really clean, flush, usually flat surfaces of some kind. If it's round, it's perfectly smooth. When you can transfer your pattern and, you know, get a good result.
Island Metal Forge says, I saw John helping you drift the hole. Is your arm okay?
Oh yeah, got a little scar there, but it can be added to the rest of the scar tissue on my arm. Yeah, no, perfectly fine. In fact, that was not John Coffey's fault at all. There's this mark right there. That wasn't his fault at all. That is actually a bad hammer. So I went and inspected that hammer. I don't have it close by, otherwise I'd show you. It's sitting around at the scrap pile. But I inspected that hammer after I had to do some final drifting of the hole. I had to do some sizing work to it just to get it oval, because we had drifted it round. So when I was sizing it oval, I had 2 more chunks come off the face of that hammer. And one went across the shop, and the other one hit me in the thigh on my leather aprons. And those are fairly big chunks. And on further inspection of the hammer, it had cracks all over it. The whole hammer had cracks in the face and on the corners of it and things like that. And I did not notice those before. you know, when I rehandled it and I kind of refurbished it to be put in use in the shop. And so that wasn't Mr. Coffee's fault at all. That was purely my fault for not inspecting my tooling and assuming, which is wrong, assuming good enough.
Island Metal Forge says, I know it wasn't, I saw. Accidents happen.
Yep. Yeah, Mr. Coffee felt bad about that. So I'm mainly saying it for him. For his benefit. It wasn't his fault at all. It was the tooling. He did a great job. But yeah. So it's definitely healed.
Dana Macchiori says, cool, still looks like a lot of work.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work. So all I'm doing is sharpening my engraver. The thing is, you'll have to do this quite a bit if you're going to do this kind of work. Part of it is, this is on high carbon steel, or 1045. So it has a tendency to lose its edge quicker than maybe something on a different type of steel would be. Say like mild steel or copper. If you want to practice graving like this, I highly suggest copper. Copper is a wonderful thing to engrave, or brass. It's soft, it goes quick, it's not as tough to peel chips out of. It's just, it's really nice stuff.
Louis Vanderbock says, love your work and have been following your stuff on Instagram. Very inspiring.
Well, good to have you, Louis. Louis? Was it Louis?
Louis, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm glad you like the Instagram.
For anybody who has an Instagram and isn't aware, you can find us over there at Christ-Centered Ironworks. Island Metal Forge says, thanks, Jess. You rock as the chat interpreter. There we go. That's like the official title, right? Chat interpreter. Jason Sullivan says, evening everyone. Sorry I was late. I was wrapping bacon on my green chili peppers.
Haha. You're not late at all. We're just, this was an impromptu live stream here. So we got the 2 circles done. I don't know if they can see that all right.
Let me zoom in a little more. There you go.
So we got the outer ring done, except we'll have to come back through and make another pass on this. But again, this is just first pass. So got that done to that point. As you can see, that's where we're heading for that. Now that's already been shaded in, so you can see it better, so it shows up better. There's 2 different types of ways that you can do engravings. You can shade them in or dye them on the inside and then wipe out the highs. That way everything stays shiny. Or you can make everything dark and then bright cut the engraving to make it pop or make it shiny on top of dark steel. Either way, you got to come up with some way of highlighting it.
Gordon Family Forge says, you have a very musical cricket in your shop. I didn't even hear that thing until you said that.
I do have a very musical cricket. Alright, so I don't know how many circles there are here, but I believe I counted last night. There's 50 circles in this thing. And so we'll see how it goes. And each one's going to have a double pass done. So you're going to go 1 pass and then you're going to come back around and do another one. So how's everybody's week? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Jess, you'll have to let me know what's going on in the chat because...
Sure. Yeah, somebody mentioned about the autofocus. There's nothing I can do about that. I try not to tap on that side of the screen, but sometimes I do. Frank Strock says, was that the hammer you brought to Rabba? Because I know you broke a handle there. If it was, it got a good workout there.
Yes, that was one hammer that I got there. That was the hammer that I did bring to Rabba.
Scoot them back a little, eh? It's where a swiveling engraver's vise would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Gordon Family Forge says, do you grind your own chisels from garage door spring?
Yes, I make my own. So I peel out the garage door spring like so, straighten it out, and then I grind my own. There's no need in forging something this small on a graver. These things are so small, they're just real quick to grind your profiles on, no big deal. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about here, whenever you're doing this and you've got a transfer pattern, you got to try real hard. I'm a lefty. If you're righty, it's going to be the same thing. It's real easy to just want to set your fingers down on your engraving, but then as you torque, wipe off your that's a really hard pattern back once you start engraving. At all costs, keep your hands away from your pattern there, the ink that's been laid down.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Coffee.
Hello, Mr. Coffee, sir. We were just talking about you. Your ears must have been burning.
Said he's out playing with his grandsons.
Cool. Hopefully you didn't run back in here just for me. You're fine, huh?
Okay. See here, look, we're up to 31 people in the chat and 16 likes.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here.
Rock Mike asks, how many hours do you have tied up into this hammer?
See here. I had a 12-hour day just forging it. That was just the forging itself. Getting it forged to shape. All in total on that. I have a custom woodworker's time tied up into it, but we won't count his time because he's making a laminated handle for it, wood handle. Let's see here.
Which I showed in my day in the life of a blacksmith's wife.
Yep.
So you can go check that out there.
Let's see here. He's, I would say, I've probably in total right now, I've got about 30 hours into it in total. With a lot more, about another expected before I'm done, 16 to 20. For those that have the interest.
Graham asks how you keep all the same depth when engraving.
So, I'm not the best engraver in the world, Graham, but what I have found helpful to keep the same depth is keeping your chisel angle the same. So if you start out shallow, you gotta stay shallow. If you start out deep, you're still staying deep all the way around. The other factor is how much pressure you put down on the graver, holding it to the work surface. I like to use thumb pressure, moderate thumb pressure, like that, to where it can stand it up like this. And then that kind of locks in my angle as well. And then the last part, key factor, is the hammer blows. If you whack it harder, it's going to take a deeper bite. If you whack it softer, it's going to have a tendency to ride up out of the cut. So keeping this consistent, your hammering consistent as you make your cuts, is kind of key there.
James from County Line Forge says, good evening.
Good evening, James. Good to have you in the stream, sir. There we go. We got our first circle of like a bunch cut. Can you see that?
Yeah. Get in a little closer to them. Yeah, I see it. One of many.
One of many. So, on to the next one.
Craig J says that cricket's still video bombing you guys. can attack. Good afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at.
Makes you a little more prone to like, I think I can watch somebody stream today. I don't need to work, James.
Mr. Coffee says the sledge is really looking great, Roy. Big transformation from when I was there. Can't wait to see the handle on it.
Yeah, I kind of want to, I'll take a break here a second and show what it started from. I think that just is the real telltale sign. You know, a lot of people imagine how they would do something when they would, you know, if it was them, and how they would engineer it and how they'd go about doing it and things like that. And a lot of times you'll say stuff like this. You'll hear people say things in the comments saying, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. I've done it like that. I would have done it like this, or I would have done it like this. And they'll say that in the comments section with something that's already formed. And the fun part is showing where it came from and then say, yeah, okay, you go from this to this, right? And I really like that because it's a great teaching aid, you know, not as just a way of, you know, getting your own salt, you know, you're not trying to take and say, oh, look at me, look how great I am, right? But it's a great teaching aid of, like, it starts making people think, well, how would I go from that? And they start realizing the consequences of that statement of, okay, well, if I were going to do that, what type of tongs would I need? Well, what type of other tools would I need? Well, how would I make that? And it gets people to start thinking outside the box. And I think that that's a good thing. That's a good learning aid like that, is to be able to see before and afters of a job. Because it's really easy to look at somebody's work and say, you know, oh yeah, I could do that. And then you come to find out later on, when you try it in your own home shop, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? I'm messing all sorts of stuff up, right? Mm-hmm. And again, that's just a kind of a fun thing to do. So I'm going to do that now. So try not to mess up my pattern here on this side. So that's where we're at now. It's close, but it's not finished. You stay put, yeah.
Okay.
And this is the exact, with no difference whatsoever, size billet that I started with.
A lot of metal moving.
Again, go from this to that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not